welcome back to another episode of the Mecca of Banter podcast. I don't have that little speaker thing that Henry has, so I'm just going to do my own sound effects. But I am your host this week, Nick Hayflinger. You can find me on Twitter at Hayfy4. And I'll say it because Henry won't. It is a great week to be a Mecca of Banter fan podcast listener because you don't have to hear the bullshit about United having a great week. It is me and the man Hoove Daddy this week running the podcast. Hoove, why don't you introduce yourself?
What's up? I've been a part of both the two-man episodes. Me and Dobes did one earlier, and now it's you and me. And they're kind of fun, dude. There's no one, you're not having to interrupt anyone. You just kind of hit it back and forth. But, yeah, we have lost a couple of guys. Butchie and Dobes have a game tonight. Best of luck. Henry's on a
big
flight.
Shouts.
Winks is not here. But, yeah, no, happy to be here. Looking forward to it. Let's rip it.
Absolutely. And boy, do we have some things to talk about. Obviously, the first thing I kind of wanted to mention for our listeners was our last week's episode did not get posted. We do want to send our sincerest apologies to everyone. We obviously did not mean that to happen. We recorded a full hour episode and then at the end found out that it didn't save. So we kind of lost that entire episode. So apologize for that. With that being said, though, I did want to kind of start it off here, Hoove, if you don't mind me. Kind of going back a couple of weeks to when that episode did get deleted. We had a crazy week in the Prem. I just wanted to briefly go over it because we didn't get to have the podcast released. But obviously, it wasn't that great for the Chelsea fan that I am. We lost to Nottingham Forest, which is never a great result. I, of course, had a great rant on how shit we were in our episode, so I'm kind of happy that that didn't come out after a couple of days to settle down. I was able to calm down a little bit, so my rant was kind of hidden a little bit. But yeah, besides that, obviously your Spurs had a performance. Why don't you talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like it was Burnley, right? There's still games that they have to play that they have to prove a little bit more. But like, dude, they just keep doing it. Like, I watched it. It feels like it was weeks ago, but I watched it in Chicago, and it's just so fun. Like every week, in and out, they're just playing like really electric football. So it's super fun to watch. Obviously, you got to keep guys healthy and, play some stronger competition going in the year. But it really feels like they're gaining in momentum. They're figuring out this Ange Ball stuff. And my manager's Australian. It's fantastic. Good eye.
As much as it pains me to say this, like, Spurs are fun to watch. Like, I haven't been able to say that in a while, I think. But I actually thoroughly enjoy throwing on a Spurs game and watching you guys play. I think and has a good system. I think I said it on the last podcast that got deleted, but Matters is, oh my goodness,
Yes.
He's involved in everything. I think he's a incredible signing for you guys.
We said it a lot, and, we didn't replace Christian Eriksen for 5 years. And, like, turns out this is what happens when you play with a 10. Like, you get a creative midfielder in there. Things happen up front, so...
Yeah,
it's so fun to watch. What a piece of business, if you ask me.
I was going to say, his performance makes me look at both of our $100 million center mids and just make me almost want to throw up. But once again, not going to go into great lengths about the Chelsea side. In other news during that week, I did want to bring up Arsenal beat United 3-1. So I find it very convenient that the one episode that didn't record just so happened to be after a pretty big spanking that Arsenal gave United. I also do want to say, though, during our podcast, Winks seemed pretty ecstatic about the game, and I was very surprised by that because I don't think their performance was anything special. I think they kind of got lucky at the end and did a classic Arsenal where they scored 2 late goals in extra time. But I don't think you should be super happy if you're an Arsenal fan after that performance.
You have to walk away being happy with 3 points.
You're right. Coming from someone who hasn't had that in a little bit.
I mean, dude, that scoreline does not accurately reflect how that game went. So you can see what you want out of the box score. It was tight. I thought it was sloppy on both sides, but none of them are here to talk about.
I love it. That's my favorite part. And then
Not worried about them.
yeah, another game that weekend, Liverpool had a good performance. They had a 3-0 win. I believe City won as well to Fulham 5-1, and then the other one was Brighton beat Newcastle 3-1. I thought that was a pretty good performance by Brighton.
Remember when we were talking and people were saying Newcastle, they're the new top 6.
I thought they were good.
Ow, I told y'all.
What's his name? Ferguson, the guy who had the hat trick, the 18-year-old for Brighton. Is that who it was?
Baller.
Yeah, wow.
He looked. I mean, like I didn't watch the entire game, but the goals that I saw in the highlights, it was so Harry Kane-esque. It was scary.
Yeah.
Like all of his movements were Harry Kane-esque. Like the way that he picks up the ball, turns, first shot, first thought was to pull up from 30. Like it was so wild to see that, and like, oh man, this kid's 18, 19.
Yeah, once again, after watching Chelsea for the past couple weeks, I haven't seen that in a very long time. So you're right; it's definitely something special, and it's rare. But after that recap, obviously we are on international break in the Premier League, which pains us sometimes. I feel like my weekends are never as exciting when we're on international break. But with that came a U.S. men's national team game this past weekend during international break. And it just so happened to be in the crib. We are talking about, it was in St. Louis. The game was at City Park. St. Louis hosted the USA game. They played, let me double check on who.
Uzbekistan.
Yes, I can never pronounce it correctly, so I'm happy you took that one from me. Yeah, but I did want to kind of go briefly into this game, Hoove, because I think there's a couple of takeaways. Like, yes, it was a 3-0 win for us, and like you look at that scoreline and you think it's a dominating performance, but I definitely didn't take it that way. We scored early on, and then we kind of just were okay with a 1-0 lead. And then we kind of rode that until late, and then we scored 2 in the 90th. So, like, I definitely was concerned. It kind of reminded me of, like, that Trinidad and Tobago game where, like, we thought we were too good and we just kind of played around with it. I think it's one of those things, and we can go into it about Greg Ball, but I think we play to people's levels. Like, we need to start having our own identity and our own playing level to where we can be like, we're not going to play to your level. Like, we have a standard now and we're going to stay there. Because I think we sometimes, and I'm talking about a 3-0 victory, like it's a bad thing. Like, that's still definitely a good thing. But like, if we want to, like, we're talking about us having an incredible performance in the World Cup the next time. And like, if we want to be at that level, we need to start playing at that level. And I don't think that performance was it. I'm curious to see your thoughts on it, though.
It's Berhalter ball. You know, like there's just no way around it. I think you look at how we played under BJ Callahan over the summer. It's like my biggest benchmark where I reference everything because some of those games were absolutely electric. They played a 4-3-3. They got the ball wide. They let the wide players work, and you targeted a center striker. Like it was so much fun. We were clearly better than almost everybody else when they were playing in that system with CP and those guys at the Nations League. And then you go into Greg Ball. This was the first game that he was officially back as manager and underneath the USA Federation. It reverted back to that. It's like there was a regression in the players' abilities, in their drive, in whatever. So I just don't understand how short-sighted you can be as a federation. Like, they clearly already had this plan for Berhalter to be the coach for the next cycle. I'd seen propaganda all over Twitter about that. Greg mentioned it in like a soccer.com post that he was like, yeah, this was the plan for the next 2 cycles. So he just outed the whole process of them hiring a new manager by saying, nah, I was going to be the guy the whole time, regardless of whatever search team they put out for interested individuals. Like, it's just a joke of a federation, if you ask me. And I think it sucks because we do have the primest crop of U.S. men's national team players we've ever had.
I literally was about to say, I'm looking at this starting lineup right now, Hoover, and it like hurts me with the performance. I mean, once again, like I feel like some of the listeners may be like, guys, we won 3-0. But like, if you watch the game and we were playing Uzbekistan, like we should be dominating them. And like Ballon should at least have a goal. Like the fact that that man it wasn't on the score sheet. Like we played some dogs, and like we need to be playing like dogs and getting.
Yeah, I think so. I think for sure too. And like I saw one of Greg's comments, dude. Actually, I saw a couple that really threw me. One of them was, um, he said the way that they played, the style and formation they picked up. I don't remember what it was, but he was like, yeah, we were hoping, that this formation would give us a better opportunity on the counter. On the counter against Uzbekistan, five at the back, three center backs, and we're catching them on the counter, brother.
Yeah, what are you on?
We gotta reel that back and think about those tactics. So, and then he also said, they don't let up goals, which I'm sure they don't because they play five at the back and sit in deep and park the bus and try and catch you on a counter. Like the mental gymnastics this guy has me go through is unbelievable. I'm sitting here playing with leads on FIFA manager career, and I know that if I'm going to play a championship division team, I'm going to make sure that I have possession and figure out how to play the ball around them. You don't hope for counters against a lower quality team. Like that drives me up a wall. The quality that we had on that pitch, open up duty. He has got the keys to the Ferrari and he doesn't know how to drop it in gear. He can't turn on the car. Like, let these guys rip. CP's on an offensive, quick playing AC Milan team and doing great. He's had a great bit of play in the last couple of weeks. And then he came and dropped a stinker in St. Louis. Just didn't look comfortable. Not many of those guys at all looked comfortable.
Yeah, and as much as I agree with you, and I think like Greg is to blame a decent amount, I also like the lineup was out there, the guys were out on the pitch. Like those guys need to perform at the same time as well. And like there's so many times we can use Greg as a scapegoat instead of us being like, yo, like score some fucking goals. Like at the end of the day, you're the professional athlete, you're the professional soccer player, and you're making the money. So why don't you know what I mean? And like I think it's funny, like as we're talking about this, I literally feel the same way about Chelsea. Like the same, like literal, like I feel a lot of correlations with that. But you brought up a good point. It's something I did want to bring up as well with CP's form. I am very happy, and this is coming from a Chelsea fan. Like I'm very happy that he is at AC Milan because I think he's able to play a lot. I also think that like no diss on Serie A, but like it's not the Premier League, so I think he can have a little bit more confidence and he can start gaining a little bit more confidence, and I think that'll only help him on our men's national team. I don't like the performance that he just had, like you were saying, in St. Louis, and I'm hoping that maybe more time in AC Milan and getting more playing will help. I also think CP's an interesting one to me because like, yeah, he's the dude, but also we have a lot of dudes now.
Yeah.
And I think he doesn't fully want that to happen. And like I almost think he needs it to happen. Like I almost think he still thinks he's the guy, which yes he is, but also like we have a lot of weapons too. It doesn't always have to be you. Like you don't have to be our main piece every single time going forward anymore. Like yes, that was the past and like you wore that dude, but like now we got some other dudes who can ball as well, and I think he needs to start sharing that wealth.
I think you're right, and I think it definitely shows when he's with us that he just does a little bit too much, right? His ability to link up play and do quick 1-2s with Olivier Giroud that we've seen thus far has been just exceptional. So I think he's got to give, you don't know what the guy's thinking ever, but
True.
I do see the fact that, like you said, the guys are out there, the guys are playing. He's a leader now on this team. And I don't know if he's always been that type of guy. I think sometimes you get thrust into that role because you are the best player, and that just is what it has to be. He's one of the more senior members at this point. Yep. But I don't think I've ever seen him as the captain of AC Milan or the captain of Chelsea. Or I think there's a lot of factors that are there, and that probably does weigh on him a little bit to know that I'm the guy. Like there's got to be a little bit more respect and at least a little bit more willingness to let other guys step up. You don't have to have a perfect game every game. And when you do, you try, you overplay, and that's just, that's with anybody. But I think when you step down probably from AC Milan and come to the States where you're no longer just another good player, you're the guy, that'll weigh on anyone. He's what, our age, a little bit younger. Like I'd feel the same way,
Yeah.
So
Oh no, definitely. I was just saying that's something I'm hoping
yeah,
that they figure out as we move forward. Because, like you said, though, we are super young, and that's
yeah.
one thing that I always like kind of lean on. And I'm like, we have a lot of time to develop and like figure out those kinks. So like, I'm not too worried, but also like, come on, guys, figure it out. Like, we got some dogs.
For sure. Outside of Tyler Adams, there's not a lot of those guys that I'd list as captain type material. Like I
Yeah,
do think Tyler has that caliber. I don't think it's Wes. I don't think it's
I agree.
Eunice. I don't think it's Dest. I don't think it's Pepe. I don't. There's. I could list a bunch of names, but the outspoken leader in that younger group is Tyler. So I think without him, it's so good that we have Tim Ream there. And like you said, it was in St. Louis, so like seeing these guys play on City Park's training fields.
Yeah.
Tim Ream's over there. We've got pictures of Pepe like juggling. Dude, that was pretty surreal just to have those guys there. And I'm pretty sure that St. Louis City was like practicing next to them one of the days. Like
Yeah.
cool thing from like like the younger guys on the team to be like, oh, like this is a very real, reachable event for me. Like I could be
Yeah.
playing, for the United States men's national team in St. Louis down the road. I think that's so good for the team to see, so good for the youth to see. It's so good for the program.
Absolutely.
My one comment about it was it was a little empty. I think we had something like 17,000 out of the 22 seats sold.
I hate to say it, the marketing of it. I had no idea until a week before that it was even happening.
There's a lot of things that I think weigh on the federation. So obviously they're outpricing people. They put it at 4:30 on a Saturday, which if you know anything about St. Louis,
Yeah.
you're a literal dad. I know for a fact you had soccer games going on. Like
Two
you
of them.
had
Two of them.
soccer games on Saturday. Who was going to make it to that game? Half
Yeah.
of the fans, not half of the fans, but there's a huge percentage that are families and kids. They
You're right.
love those games. That's what it's for. But when you put a game at 4:30 on a Saturday in St. Louis, you're going to get, guys like me who had absolutely nothing going on, like got brunch, was like, oh, it's a game today, I'll go, sure. Like that's the crowd that you're drawing, and that's not the percentage of majority that go to the game. So I was disappointed in that. I do think the Federation should take a majority of that blame. But Hercules Gomez said something I thought was interesting on Twitter. And he was like, you ever hear of the Mexican national team fans getting priced out of a game? No, you don't.
Wow.
Because they go to all of them and it does not matter where or when.
It's
Or
definitely
what it
true.
costs to get in. So that I spent a decent amount of time bantering on the Mecca Twitter account just about the situation, but that was the first anti-USA argument that I saw from Hercules. It was like, yeah, he's got a really good point.
Yeah.
They're selling out AT&T Stadium in Dallas for a Gold Cup game. That's just what it is. So
Yeah, and it was one of those things where like I go back to the marketing, like Henry and a couple of the guys in the Mecca, it might have been you too, who like they were just walking past City Park that day and saw the U.S. men's national team practicing. And it's like, wait, what? And it's like, why are we not blowing that up all over social media? And like, I think it was a miss because I think we all know, and I think it's been shown by our MLS team, like what type of city St. Louis is when it comes to football. And like the fact that we weren't able to showcase that on the U.S. men's national level, because like I'm not saying that any of those people are going to come play in St. Louis, but like I want them to have a good outlook in St. Louis for the future for like, let's say down the line they want to come and play here. Like I want the atmosphere to be what it is, and like I just think we missed on it, and I really wish it wasn't that.
No, I think that's a fantastic point. I'd thought about that earlier, and like you want a couple of those guys at some point to think maybe this would be a good place to play. Obviously,
Absolutely.
growth and stuff is going to happen first, but. To be fair, we've sold out a St. Kitts and Nevis game in the Gold Cup to beat them. What was it, like 8 or 10 or something? So it's not that they haven't seen it, and I think that's why they did come back for this friendly. But like, man, there's so many factors there that hindered us to be able to be there. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Majority of us weren't. We just all had obligations and or
Didn't know about it.
I didn't hear anything. So and tickets were $40 to get in the door, even when it was empty. Like that's a bummer. That sucks on the federation's part, but it does suck from our point of view, just because I love that stadium so much. It's beautiful. I had an unbelievable time there, and I wish they could have seen the full event. But yeah, it little bit of a bummer on that.
Yeah, completely agree. But I do think that's a great transition into the next thing I wanted to talk about. Obviously, besides the Prem and international break, MLS was still playing. And we kind of have to cover two games, Hoove, because we missed the last one. And it was a rivalry game. So we can't just kind of flip over that because we're not ranked. So we'll talk about it. I think the consensus between all of us during the episode that we did record was disappointment. We were definitely expecting more from the side. I don't think the energy was there. Obviously, Stroud playing is just a mind blown to all of us. Carnell's decision making is sometimes questionable still. I think we kind of all have the same feeling towards it. I will say, though, one thing I did want to mention about the game was, unlike the USA game, St. Louis City fans showed out in Kansas City. I was very happy with the attendance, like seeing it on TV, seeing the city red throughout the stadium. I was very happy for, and we did score a goal, so that was kind of cool to see the celebration in Kansas City, because I do think this will be a long-time rivalry.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, man, disappointment is a nice word, to be honest. Like, I was at a wedding event, and I got to watch a little bit of on my phone, but I was hot, dude. Like, I was not happy about it. I think you're right. The effort didn't look like it. I do think like we'll get into in the next game too, but some of Carnell's substitution and decision making is mind boggling. Like, absolutely does not make sense. The biggest issue to me is just that the refs find it a way to make it about them every single time we talk about a game.
So true. It's so true.
Talk about a game, and the LA game was last night, and
we'll get into that.
I saw two different handballs. I saw a handball that was not called in this Kansas City game, a direct shot leading to goal, to where that happened last night, and Adrian got a yellow, which ended up turning
being a red, which is absolutely insane to me.
So I don't know if they got the call wrong last night, but if they didn't get the call wrong last night, then they got the call wrong in Kansas City.
Yep.
It has to be some level of consistency.
I was going to say, it goes back to what I think we've always been saying with even VAR, but like the consistency is never there, and it's frustrating.
We've known that the MLS is just a lower quality league than anything. We watch, which is fine, and we've accepted that, and I think you're allowed to accept that. But I'm not okay with looking at Mike Dean and being like, this guy's freaking good, because these guys are that bad. I'm begging for Michael Oliver or some of these guys that know how to run.
Dare I say Anthony Taylor? Never. I wouldn't even want him.
Dude, if he gets banned from the Prem, then bring him on over to the States, because he's been better than 90% of them. Like, the consistency is an issue. They kill the game. They don't know how to use VAR. When they do use VAR, it takes forever. Sucks the life out of the game, and then it comes usually down to a game-changing decision. It blows my mind that the Kansas City game that we didn't get that handball, and I don't blame the refs on that one. I think we got gypped out of a point, maybe, but the performance was a bummer. It just didn't look like they were inspired. They let up some goals that defensively, I'm looking at Ebert sometimes, man. It's just like, God.
We talked about it once again. I keep bringing it up. We talked about it on the pod that was deleted. But the starting 11 from Carnell, like without Lowen, like what are we doing? Like, it looks like we're playing. He looks like he puts out a lineup that's like half-assed when we're playing a rival team that we want points away.
He played the lineup last night that I wanted played against Kansas City. I could give a shit about what happened in LA.
Yeah.
If we get 3 points in Kansas City, I don't give a shit what happens in LA. Like, obviously, but to not start the Dogs against your direct rival that 3,000 or so of your fans are traveling 4 hours to not even think about the fact that that was a major game for us. I don't, it's not about us. Well, no, that's bullshit. It is about us. It's 100% about the fans. That's why they're there. They wouldn't be there if we weren't. So
He goes, fuck that. It is about us.
it's 100% about
This is
us.
our club.
The fact that he didn't, we need to be in this media room, I think, because we're going to be
Right
the
now,
guys
let us in.
questions. Like, I don't want to say that the media, it's all cupcake media, but it's definitely not hard. They're definitely not asking him tough questions about stuff. I want to know more, and I want him to say it. I want to understand it because obviously he's in his position for a reason.
Maybe we look into that, Hoove.
Maybe we do.
Maybe we do that.
We're a media publication.
Exactly. Mecca Banter. Hey, we'll get back to you on that one.
We'll get back to you on that. You'll see me up front row getting kicked out first game because
I was gonna say we're gonna have press passes for a game.
I'll get our media credentials revoked so fast.
Hoover's gonna have a couple beers and be like, "Yo, why the hell do you keep playing Stroud, dog?"
Dude, that's the kicker is because I'm not going to go to those games and not. I'm going to go sit in my season ticket seat and then throw on my media pass at the end of the game after a couple sodas and be like, look, man, Stroud had 60% passing tonight. What do you feel about that?
Yeah.
He had 60% passing the last 4 weeks. What do you feel about that? Like,
unreal. All right, well, we'll get back to the fans on that one because I actually do want to look into that.
I am curious, yeah.
Maybe me and you get some media passes.
All right.
But besides the Kansas City game, the other game that happened last night, St. Louis City, LA, 2-2 draw. What a game this was. Very interesting. Had me on the edge of my seat for a lot of it. We started off, I think it was one of those things where we play this certain way where it kind of like shocks teams at times. And I think the high press, the high energy against LA really worked in the first half. Like they were not ready for it. I thought it worked really, really well. We were able to score 2 goals. I Stroud with an assist. Clap for you. Good shit. Congrats. Finally passing the ball correctly. I think you whiffed a shot, but we'll get into that at a different time. But it goes into no halftime adjustments. Yes, we're up 2-0, but LA comes out and they look way different than they do in the first half. And Carnell just makes no adjustment whatsoever. And I think that was evident in the second half. Now let's get into the awful penalty call.
Yeah. So here we just went on this thing about the refs. Here's maybe a hot take.
Okay.
I didn't think this ref was that bad. Of the ones that we've had, I didn't.
Okay, but that doesn't make him good.
No. I don't think he was great by any means. But comparatively, we've got enough sample size now to be like, all right, that guy had a little bit of a flow and at least was kind of calling both sides instead of just nitpicking what he decided he wanted to call. I thought that the handball, he was put in a tough situation. So
not a yellow.
I don't think it's a yellow.
Never a yellow.
I don't know. It just keeps coming back to how.
The only time it's a yellow is if it's in an unnatural position. He's going out to block it.
Yeah. How do you want him to hold it?
Literally going like this.
He turned. When you turn your body, your hands follow your body. It doesn't matter. What was he supposed to turn like this? Like
it makes no sense to me. Then gets a yellow, and then it results into him getting another foul, which was another yellow, and then a red. And I think it completely changes the dynamic of the game. I don't want to go back to the referees, but I think they want to have an impact on the game every single time they're out. And once again, they did against us. And luckily, to be fair, I was happy that we didn't lose.
Oh yeah, the fact we pulled a point out of that.
Yeah,
I'm totally okay with. I think the positive things you do need to say, like you said, first half was one of the best we'd played in a while.
Agreed.
It looked so good. It was the spine of the team: Blom, Lowen, Nilsson, Parker, Berkey, and Zhao. Zhao went and got himself a goal.
Yes,
unreal unreal run from AZ Jackson. That was some man stuff. He could have taken that yellow. He could have gone down. He could have taken 2 yellows and could have gone down. And he just said, "No, I see that Brazilian guy."
That's that MLS. That's where like the MLS. Like I feel like there's a lot more players like that in the MLS where they're not going down and they're going to keep going.
For sure. Anyone in England or Europe is taking that contact, getting the yellow, moving on. I loved that he played through it. I think he's solidified himself as one of the more creative players that we have on the team, and I enjoy seeing him, on the pitch. I like when he's out there, and I think he contributes a ton. Zhao getting a goal.
That's big, yeah.
I was just yelling. I was sitting here like, yes! I was so pumped for him. He I didn't know what his celebration was. It was 6 something. I don't.
Is that how many goals?
I have no idea what it was, but he definitely looked relieved. I thought I was going to see more emotion.
Was that 6 months or 6 weeks? Is that what he was meaning?
Weeks, maybe. It might have been 6 weeks.
Could have been.
That's cute. Good for him.
I actually kind of like that then. Good for him, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. He's a striker. The guy just wants to be on the field. He just wants to play. He just wants to score. That's it. And that's, those are the mentalities of guys that you respect.
All right. I may have a hot take here. May not be that hot because I think Dobes has been saying it for a little bit. I think Timmy Parker is a fraud.
Yeah, that one makes me nervous. I know.
Man, I'm telling you, if you look into a lot of the goals that we allow,
he gets turned
are marking mistakes and him getting turned.
He gets turned inside out often. It's not.
I love the man, love the energy, think he would be a dog, but I just there's moments where I'm like trying to pick us apart. I'm trying to find our weak spots, and it keeps going to him. And I hate to say that.
Yeah, and Clarnell made a comment about it probably last week, but he was like, we're looking forward to having Parker and Nielsen next to each other. He was like, Parker's the in-your-face, big time, get up and make a body play defender, and Nielsen's a little bit more of the finesse, calm on the ball, get the ball.
Same thing with Josh, and Tim still leaks goals.
Yeah, Josh is better on the ball than Tim. That's what it is. I think.
And I'm telling you, majority of the goals are Josh trying to recover for Tim.
Yeah, I think Josh gets stuck on a limb a lot, and I'm not sure. Josh has some wheels too, dude. There's just no way that he's not faster and better on the ball. I can understand maybe in a one-on-one defensive situation, Josh just isn't the same physicality monster that I think Parker is, but the way we're gonna play. I think about this with Spurs. Spurs had to go get new defenders because if you're going to play this high line, high press, high energy football, you can't have one defender who's lacking in a couple other areas. They all have to be on the same page. I loved Markanich on the left and Watts on the right. I thought that last night was fantastic. I think Josh has a better ability to get the ball to them easier. The second goal, I think one of the goals that they scored was directly off of, or no, was this last night? It was almost a goal maybe, but Tim had the ball for a second, no real options, took a step up beyond the striker and tried to find, I think AZ kind of at the top of their line on a direct pass through the field. It was picked off very easily, and then it turned into an immediate counter. So I think decisions like that aren't made with Josh on the ball. I don't think he's aggressive. I think he's more passive with his passing, which is fine, totally okay. Tim's decision-making is rough sometimes. So, no, I don't know if that's that hot of a take. I think, the two center backs I'd love to see going forward are Josh and Nilsson. And Nilsson's a Cadillac, bro. That guy's nice with it.
I completely agree.
Positionally smart and so calm and compacted on the ball.
And I completely agree with you that I think that needs to be the center back duo. I just have a feeling I don't think it's going to happen.
Nope.
2, if it does, I think a lot of fans would be up in arms because they don't know ball and they just see Timmy Parker being the name Timmy Parker.
I think that's fair. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Fair,
I hate to say it.
One thing I will give credit for on LA, and close your ears, Winks or Henry, but Ricky Puig was slick.
Yeah, he's slick.
Ricky Puig last night was all over the place, and he looked good.
Yeah.
It was hard to deny his influence on the second half.
I completely agree.
I mean, they were so close to winning that game, and he was the driving force 100%. It was. I'm pissed about it because I think he's a. I'll reserve my words, but I think he's a little, and I hate, rooting for guys that are kind of like that just fall and roll on the ground.
Get on with it.
Yeah. Get on with it. He's a kid, but it's annoying to watch. I also
yeah, I completely agree. I also hate that he's doing it in the MLS. Like, I still think he had so much more potential. Don't think he should have came here. Yes, it's great for the league, and I'm pumped that that's the direction that the MLS is going, but I just think it kind of taints any bit of legacy that he wanted to have.
He's just an MLS player now, right? It's not the Barcelona Academy product that, played with Gavi and Pedri. He's an MLSer.
He's LA Galaxy boy now.
I think you're right. I don't know if it gives him any credibility outside of America, but regardless, he balled last night, and he's balled a decent amount this year, and we didn't shut him down, especially when we went down to 10 men.
Yep.
Sam's foul was dumb too, to be fair.
Yes, it was dumb, but he shouldn't have been on a yellow.
He shouldn't have been on a yellow. It was reactionary. You still can't make that challenge. Doesn't matter. You got to understand the situation that you're in the game. I think, a couple people just lost their heads for a second. My biggest issue with all of this, Lowen coming off the field in the 70th or something, or 65th, blew my mind. You want one guy on the ball to be calm, cool, and collected, to be able to play out with 10 men, and you took him off? What are we doing? What is the objective? He was pissed. Lowen was coming off the field.
I was about to say, if I'm the coach of that team, I'm telling Lowen, you tell me when you want to off. I need you at all times. So whenever you don't want to play, you let me know.
Facts. We've hit the point where you give him the right
to yes,
when he wants to come off. Yes. If it's time and we're up 3-0
and you're sore and you want to save your legs, yes. Sure.
Obviously, guys like that aren't going to come off easy, but given the circumstances of that game specifically,
and it goes back to, he didn't start him in Kansas City, so then he's fully rested. So
why isn't he going 90 after taking a full rest?
Our best player by a long shot.
Or just play him against Kansas City and then rest him.
Yeah.
Just don't.
Neither makes sense.
Neither of those made sense, and he did both of them.
Yes.
So I have, I want to say the title of last week was Carnell out ? Which I laughed at. I wasn't on the recording, but I was like, man, that's awfully wild to say. And now we're in week 2 of what's this brother doing, bro?
To be fair, it was a real hot take. I think we were kind of trying to be a little clickbaity.
The emotions were revved for sure last week.
Yeah.
But yeah, gosh, we say all of this and we get so nitpicky, and we're 7 points clear on first in the West. So everything with a grain of salt. Coming out of LA before the game started with a point, I would have been like, cool.
Yeah, you're definitely right. We just kind of ripped them for the last 15 minutes. But at the end of the day, we got a point in LA, against a side who's pretty good. We just talked about how good Puig is, and
we've talked about it enough. We've talked about it enough that we've seen what we can do. We've seen the best. Obviously, there's so many games in rotation and travel and things that we can't, give 2 cents on. But from our point of view, the decision making has been weird and not really justified, and certainly not asked by media members much of, where his thoughts and direction was with some of it. It's that one blew my mind. That one made me really upset. I don't think it lost us the game. I think we've got, we subbed him out with, I think there were 10 minutes left when Vasilev came in, and we had a dead ball opportunity in a really dangerous position. And guess who, the set piece specialist not on the field was off the bench. He came
off in the 78th.
that one drove me up a wall. You want your best players on the field when you're.
And Stroud came off in the 90th. Like, what are we doing?
No, I don't understand the Stroud thing, man. But he got an assist last night. Here's what I see. Here's where I'll defend Carnell. The guy's a tireless runner. He makes runs 90 minutes, no question. He puts pressure on a lot in tight areas. He doesn't win the ball enough for me in those areas to be considered.
Dude's a great sub.
The ball, it would be a great sub. I don't get that. I'm with you. It'd be a great sub off the bench, but his decision making with the ball is almost always poor.
It's zero.
He wanted to. I listened to his City podcast, and one of his big things that he talked about is like, I really want to add more goals to my game. My brother couldn't hit the broadside of a barn.
He tried. That's how he got an assist.
The guy goes blind 18 yards out. It's unbelievable. He cannot put his foot through the ball to save his life. I agree. I think that's why he got an assist. It just rolled across the front. Like
he kicked it that way and was like, hopefully it goes somewhere.
Yeah, I'm with you. That one throws me for a loop. I think that lineup last night's perfect if we swap him out with, even Indy. I think Indy's been formidable and a pretty solid addition. Like,
I agree. And I like the lineup that we had. I just go back to why are we doing it when we're doing it, and it's just it's very inconsistent. And like I said, Mecca Banter fans, we're gonna get back to you because me and Hoover are gonna get into that. We're gonna be asking those questions because I actually really want to know.
But you're right. Who cares about that LA game, bro? Maybe they had one or two less guys. Kansas City sucks. Kansas City sucks. LA's got potential, and they're, I don't even know what position they are, but they're doing just fine this year. Better than at least Kansas City is. Why are we not trying to put down the team at home that we know we can put down, that we beat 4-1 earlier in the year? Like, where's the planning and scheduling on this? Like, LA is really far away. They had to travel super far. A lot of guys are jet lagged. A lot of guys are tired. And we play the Dogs. I'm fine with it. But the team that we could have dismantled at home that would have meant the most to anyone in St. Louis just completely blew it off. That one drives me up a wall. And to be fair, we haven't had a great stretch of play anyway. Like, since we've had this League's Cup break, we have not been amazing. So something's got to give. Something's got to turn. It's good to have everyone healthy back. Nilsson supposedly might have picked up a knock. But other than that, we got to finish strong. You win out your games at home. You take home first place, and you've got a home field advantage in the playoffs. And that has to be the objective. That Agreed. Just has to be the goal.
Agreed. Well, we're back in action this coming weekend against Houston, so hopefully Carnell can put out a lineup that we all agree with. But we shall see. Alrighty, Hoove. It is time for our 10-minute segment, the Mecca of Banter 10-minute segment. This week, we are going to be talking about the Ballon d'Or. And we are going to be talking about who we think is going to win or should win. I've obviously been all over social media, and one of the hot debates that have been talking about is whether Erling Haaland should be winning the Ballon d'Or this year or Lionel Messi. Obviously, me and Hoover were kind of chatting about it beforehand, and I think we may have opposing viewpoints.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Oh, that's so unfortunate. So let's get into it. For me, and one thing I will say for the fans out there, we are going to put a poll out there because I do want to get everyone's opinion on the Mecca. We're going to put a poll out there who everyone thinks should win the Ballon this year. I'll start it off with who I think. I think it should unanimously be Erling Haaland. I think what he was able to do this year, not only did he break a lot of records with how many goals he scored, which was 52 goals in all competitions, which is disgusting to say out loud. But his team was the best team in the world. They won the treble. They won the Champions League. They won the Premier League, and they won the FA Cup. So I think when you're the best player and scoring majority of the goals on the best team, you should probably win the Ballon d'Or. Now,
I don't know, man.
Okay, so I do want to say something before you go in your Lionel Messi talk. Do I think Messi is the GOAT? Yes. Do I think he deserves this Ballon d'Or? No.
I think that's asinine. I think for him to have taken his team to the World Cup, and not only just like he didn't just like play well at the World Cup. He was the best player at the World Cup at 35 years old, and he did the one thing that every single, soccer federation player ever dreams of, and it's to lift that trophy with your home country team. Go. What?
He
What
did one thing that Erling Haaland couldn't because his team wasn't in the World Cup. And I bet you if they were in the World Cup, man scoring some goals.
I bet you if they're in the World Cup, they're scoring some goals and getting knocked out in the group round by Iran 2-3.
Okay, you're not wrong. That wasn't going to be my argument. I just wanted to.
There's no way.
I will say though, but like his performance with PSG and how PSG performed was subpar, not up to the standard that we expect Lionel Messi to be at. Yes, did he perform incredible at the FIFA World Cup? That was only 6 months, my guy, or 6 weeks, my guy. And he won the World Cup player of the tournament. So that's what you win for being the best player of the World Cup, not the Ballon d'Or.
But you don't think that factors in?
I mean, think it does, but when you have a subpar season at PSG, I don't think you can give it to him.
Subpar season. He had like 36 goal involvements on a team.
Knocked out in the round of 16.
Knocked out in the round of 16 with a League One championship, given they should always win that championship. They didn't a couple years ago. It's just, I think you obviously have to look at the quality of team that he's on. Yes, it slights him that he's on PSG. Yes, it slights him that he didn't get to the Champions League final. Where I would argue is that Erling Haaland goes ghost in big games, bro. We have not seen him take over games and play to the ability that Lionel Messi can play on any team. Erling Haaland is a piece of a squad that you build around and play the style of way that they need to play. Miami is not that way. PSG was not that way. Argentina was not that way. He is everything. The ball goes through him. The ball ends through him. He finds the passes. He makes the plays. And I don't think Haaland has that ability or is that player. And I don't discredit.
He scored 52 goals, brother.
He scored 52 goals. That's stupid impressive, and there's no way around it. It's a ridiculous record. I don't think he brings to the team what Lionel Messi can do. I think if you put Erling Haaland on Toronto FC, they're going to be mid-table. He may have a bunch of goals. They'll be a playoff team and get knocked out pretty early. You put Lionel Messi on any single team in the MLS.
We'll see.
Exactly what's happening.
We'll see.
He took them to that Leagues Cup cakewalk. To be fair, there were a couple tight games.
I want to see him in the playoffs in the MLS, so I'm going to say.
I do too, dude. I really do. I'm terrified of it because they're going to win if they do, but
I don't want to get into crazy depth about it because I want to see what the Mecca fans have about the poll. Could you imagine Messi lifting up the Ballon d'Or in Miami?
Unreal. And to be fair, we don't deserve this.
No.
I've thought about this a lot. The United States does not deserve him.
No.
Does not deserve this presence. Does not deserve that trophy to come to MLS.
Over Saudi, though, I'll take it.
100%. 10 out of 10 times, no question. Those guys are blowhards, and I'm over everything they're doing.
I will say, I think if Messi were to win the Ballon, I do really think it taints the award a little bit because I think it weighs heavily on like politics.
Nah, I think tainting the award is giving it to
a man who broke a bunch of records and won everything.
No, I think tainting it is giving it to Luka Modric over Leo Messi.
Okay, yes, I mean, I definitely agree with that.
All he did was carry. All he did that year was he played great at Real Madrid. Don't question it. But all he did to win that award, the Ballon d'Or,
is win the World Cup.
He didn't even win it.
Oh yeah, they got second. Yeah.
He took him to the final. They got.
I forgot. You're right.
That's a tainted award. I agree completely. I don't think it's tainted if either of these guys get it. I think if Erling Haaland gets it, it's like, yo, you scored 52 goals in a year and 36 in the hardest league in the world. I get that. I think if you give it to Lionel Messi, he's the greatest player of all time. Single-handedly took Argentina to the World Cup. I don't know how long do we factor. This is a technical question. I'm not sure. Do you know how long the voting actually factors for? Like, is he going to get credit for some of these MLS performances, or is it like years over?
Years over.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's season.
Okay, I know that it goes. They vote on it via calendar year, so that's why it was all in December and stuff. So everything up until now has to factor. And you're right, because they didn't play for that long, I guess. Huh? I don't know, but I think there's no way it's not Lionel Messi. I think he dominates games. I think he is more of a complete player. I mean,
I'm not denying that.
No. And I'm not denying that Erling Haaland scored 52 goals. That's science. It is what it is.
That is factual.
I don't think that that's impressive as the things that he's had to do, especially we're talking about a striker. He's a striker. He's up there to score goals. He does score the goals.
That was
He is not a striker. He does so much more to contribute. He has so many more assists than Erling Haaland.
Because that's what he's supposed to be doing.
His goal involvement record is just as good as Erling's, despite not having the same amount of shots on net. I don't know. That's me. I could see it, and I'm actually not even like, if it were to happen, I'd be like, damn, that's crazy. I totally thought it'd be, but I wouldn't be like, they fucked him. Oh, this is stupid. I think it would be warranted.
All righty. Well, you got our two takes. I want to hear it from the Mecca Banter fans. We're going to put a poll out there this week who we all think should win the Ballon d'Or. Obviously, you can throw out other ideas. I did want to mention, we didn't even talk about him, but there is one person who really did win it all, and that is Julian Alvarez. He won the World Cup and the treble. So, if you want to throw him in the hat too, I mean, we could. Shit.
I thought that was a great addition, and I love the fact that he still comes off the bench for City. It's just
it doesn't help when Erling Haaland's the one in front of you, and then you got Lionel Messi on your other team. You just got both of them.
You're supposed to compete with that. No, I like Julian Alvarez up there. I think I think Harry Kane's going to be top 5 voting. To be honest, he scored the second most goals of anyone last year on a considerably worse team, and then played pretty well. If you forget that. Penalty in the World Cup. But other than that, guy balled, to be honest. But it'll be interesting. I'll be interested to see who the top 5 is. I thought Andre Onana getting on this list was kind of wild.
Same.
Modric is fine. I'm good with that. Kim Min-jae, the Napoli defender, I love seeing that.
Yep, but I think that's one thing I think the award needs more of, and I will die on that hill, is I think there should have been way more center backs and defenders in the Ballon d'Or. I think Sergio Ramos should have at least 2.
And to be honest, of all years for Kim Min-jae to get one, it would be, this year, but Erling Haaland scored 52 goals and Lionel Messi lifted the World Cup. So that just ruled out. Yeah. You're just, sorry, buddy.
Get bent.
Not our fault.
Try to have another year.
Yeah, dude, go for it. Do it again. Napoli go crazy.
Alrighty, well, that will be up on our Instagram sometime this week. Besides that is all we have for this episode. As always, follow us on all of our social medias, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, we're there. Hopefully, you guys are hearing this and it didn't get deleted. We can actually post this one. So light up some comments, give us some likes. I haven't seen those in a little bit.
I had a couple people reach out, man. They're like, why didn't we hear about Kansas City and St. Louis? It's like, dude.
Yeah. Hey, Zencaster, refund us our money. Yeah.
Yeah, we're changing the recording studio sessions here, so figuring it out all in due time.
Yeah. Alrighty, well, that's another episode. Cheers, lads.
Yeah, catch you up.